T-shirt ideas spur what Christians do incur. It's Rhyme and Reason 795.
There's a rhyme and reason for your life. There's a rhyme and reason why.
Hey there, Tony here. Yeah, I'm talking about T-shirts today, and that's because actually T-shirt ideas have some fairly serious consequences these days in ways that you wouldn't think, and once upon a time it wouldn't have been. But it's kind of weird how they do have consequences, especially if people are offended by what your T-shirt says. And I'm not talking about, somebody flipping a bird or dropping an F-bomb or using God's name in vain. You see those T-shirts all over the place, and it seems like nobody gets offended by that. You can wear them out in public. Yeah, you can wear that stuff to the mall. Nobody has any problem with that. But there was a video that someone shared on a social media channel, and the short description for the video said, "I automatically assumed this was overseas, but it's right here in America." That's what the headline said, or the blurb said for the video, and I checked it out. And it was definitely right here in America. That's where the offense, the problem took place, is at the so-called Mall of America. And the video showed two fat members of mall security telling a guy he had to remove his T-shirt if he wanted to shop in the mall. And wouldn't you know it, he's wearing one of those F-bomb T-shirts with, all kinds of curse words and bad images, and no, he didn't. No, he had a short sleeve T-shirt over a long sleeve T-shirt. And I know you're thinking that, it had to be those kind of things, the F-bombs and all that kind of stuff. Naked people, his shirt had swastikas on it, maybe, all that. Yeah, good guesses, but that's all wrong. Because the dude in the video dared to wear a shirt that mentioned Jesus. And people were offended and told mall security to tell him to take his shirt off. I guess I should add that the shirt also said on the back of it, "Jesus is the only way." And now that guy knows that T-shirt ideas have consequences. And I shared a video. I shared the video of it at tonyfunderburk.com/T-shirt ideas. You can see that video. He found out that he's dealing with, hypocritical and unjust consequences for wearing a T-shirt that on the front is talking about Jesus, but on the back is saying Jesus is the only way. That's where people got offended, because people use Jesus' name all the time, as a curse word mostly. So that's not a problem. But if you start telling people that he's the only way to heaven, and that's how you should truly coexist, because he was making a play on that coexist thing, yeah, you're going to be dealing with stuff at that point. And it's not going to be good, as he found out. The mall security tells him you're either going to have to take the shirt off or leave the mall for wearing that kind of a shirt, which once upon a time in America would have been celebrated. They would have thought, wow, this young guy is willing to be out there talking about Jesus. How awesome is that? But not anymore. So it shows that sometimes branding yourself can bring out those other branding irons, so to speak. Especially if you brand yourself a Christian, because most people in the world form an immediate opinion and they want to dish out their own brand for you. Once they hear you say you're a Christian and you actually stand up like one, they have other labels for it. They'll call, well, for instance, I've been called arrogant. I've been called bigoted, a bigot. I've been called a Nazi, and I've been called ignorant and old-fashioned and lots more, really. And many times I've gotten those labels or those brands from my own friends and family, so-called. Most of the time, branding yourself a Christian means losing friends and losing out your family members, or losing your family members and losing out to your more tolerant competition, we'll call them. At least if you're not willing to compromise your true Christian faith, and I'm not. I know there are still plenty of people out there, business owners and entrepreneurs, who appreciate the Christian values applied to business and other things, like making T-shirts. Even if they don't outwardly admit how much they appreciate someone not lying to them or about them, they still are They like to, apply Christian values to the business. Working with someone who won't steal from them, they like that, even if they're not Christian. And so if you're a Christian, or if you're someone who supports Christians because they won't steal from you, boost your brand boldly. That's what I say. And if you're a Christian who's an entrepreneur or who owns a business in this more tolerant and accepting world of ours, you really think it is? I don't. Don't be surprised when people make fun of you or refuse to work with you. If you're actually going to call yourself an entrepreneur, you're also going to say, I happen to be a Christian who runs this business, and I happen to stand for stuff. They're going to want to make fun of you, refuse to work with you, not buy anything from you. Yeah, but you take that as a compliment because it's an indication that you chose the right brand. And the right brand, of course, would be calling yourself a Christian, saying, I follow Jesus, the Christ. And speaking of t-shirt ideas that trigger tough consequences, I got one that you can get. It's called a t-shirt, Tony. It's a t-shirt that says right on it, and it shows this picture of a guy, looks like a dork, trying to figure out, how do I push this button on this laptop? Duh. And the wording on there says, stupid doesn't make you sin, but sin makes you stupid. I got that from a pastor who has since gone to be with the Lord. I asked him if I could make those t-shirts based on what he said, and he said, sure. So anyway, you can go to that same page, tonyfunderburk.com/t-shirt ideas, or just look up t-shirt ideas on my site. You should find it. You could either click on the image there and get yourself one of those cool looking t-shirts, or if you happen to be looking at your computer and you have your phone, you could scan the QR code there and it'll take you right to that place too. So there you go. You can support this Christian business, the Tony Funderburk Business Online, by doing that. That'd be awesome. And there are other ways you'll see on there, plenty of other ways if you want to. If you don't want to, or if you despise what I do, then of course, don't buy from me. Still free enough country that you can do that or not do that. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rhyme and Reason podcast, as always, brought to you by tonyfunderburk.com, where you might oftentimes hear me say that life has rhyme and reason because God made you.
There's a rhyme and reason for your life. There's a rhyme and reason why you're here. Give your time and season to the